Coach Corey Wayne, and this is my video coaching newsletter. And the topic of this newsletter is going to be, can my 23-year marriage be saved? Well, one of the things that I love about what I do is I often get to work with couples or men, in most cases, who are having problems. Either the wife is talking about divorce, or maybe there's a trial, they're just kind of separated at this point. He's moved out, or she's moved out, she's dating other people. But they're obviously still talking, or things are really shaky. She's unsure. She doesn't know where the future is going to go. But what I love most about it is, especially like where there's kids involved, and like over the course of several weeks or a couple of months, to help a guy understand how he needs to show up as a man in a relationship, how he needs to be the leader in the relationship, teaching him how to communicate with his girlfriend or wife effectively, enabling him to open her up emotionally so the bond can start to reform, and also helping them get back to courting and dating her properly so they get back to fucking each other's brains out and having a great sex life, as opposed to having sex maybe once a month. And it's just really rewarding, because especially when they got young kids, because if you can help him save that marriage and you teach him how to show up as a man, and he gets his wife to be completely, or his living girlfriend, be completely head over heels in love with him like they once were, and they want to start having kids again. It's just, for me personally, it's very rewarding, and I love the fact that I can talk to a guy in a matter of just a few minutes and know exactly what's going sideways in his situation and how he needs to modify his behavior, which is more naturally in line with how a man is supposed to act anyways, and then to see the progress, because not only are you improving the quality of his life, but you're improving the quality of the woman in his life, and you're also helping them give their kids an example of how mom and dad have a really healthy relationship. So when they grow up, they have something healthy to model, as opposed to going through a divorce or having a dysfunctional relationship, and then the kids grow up and then they just go ahead and they repeat the same kinds of mistakes that the parents make. It's just one of the things I really love about what I do. And so I got a quote that I would like to share along those lines before I get into this email from this guy. And it says, couples who play together tend to stay together. 99.99% of the time, when women back away, lose interest, or start talking about divorce and breaking up, it is due to the fact that at some point in the relationship, the men stopped courting, dating, or communicating the way they did in the beginning of the relationship that caused the women to fall in love with them in the first place. The only way to salvage failing relationships is to communicate effectively and restart the courtship as if it was a brand new relationship. In relationships, men don't get any points for what they did right in the past, only what they do now going forward. So let's get in this guy's email. He says, "Hi Coach, I've been watching your videos on YouTube and I really appreciate those. My deal is that with my wife, I wasn't there emotionally. I wasn't supportive, protective, and almost every one of her needs was not met. So she asked me to move out this past May 1st. Since then, she has had contact with a male friend in another state. She did go see him for the weekend, and you know what happened next." Yeah, because what happened was you were not courting her and communicating with her the way you once did, and she wants that bond, she wants that connection, and so she's got a guy that she knows, he's kind of just a friend, as they say, and so he starts doing the things basically that you once did, and that's how an affair happens. That's in essence how all relationships start. And so in essence what you got to do is you got to get back to the beginning, get back to the way things were, be that guy that she fell in love with in the first place. He says, "I had it coming after all I've researched. I come from a dysfunctional family where lying and ignoring is the norm. I am 45 and I left my home at 18, and I've been back for a total of 1.5 years to visit, and I lived there for 6 months. I can't really handle more than 2 weeks there." He says, "So I love my wife, and this did wake something in me that she has started to see." Well, awesome for you for admitting that you needed to make some changes in your life and your relationship if you were to have any hope of turning things around. Because a lot of guys, they don't want to admit that or take any responsibility for their own fucking up until it's too late, until she's already moved in with another guy and moved on, or you've gotten served with your divorce papers. He says, I did tell her that I can forgive and forget if being with me would make her happy. She has started to talk less to the other guy, but there is still some contact between them. She did tell me that she cares and does love me. She's just not in love with me. So what's happened is she's slowly fallen out of love over time, and she probably talked about and complained about the same things over and over. And obviously you didn't know what to look for coming from the kind of environment that you came from, because I came from the same kind of environment, and I had to learn all this stuff on my own. Because I certainly couldn't learn it from anybody in my family, because nobody that I knew in my family had a relationship that I thought was worth emulating. And it's slow. They slowly fall in love, because if a guy meets a girl and he courts her properly, exactly the way I talk about in my book, it usually takes right at about week 7, week 8 is when the woman really starts to fall in love and talks about a commitment. And so if it takes 2 months under normal circumstances of a guy doing pretty much everything right to get a woman to fall in love, it's going to take at least that to get her to fall back in love. He says, I don't know if I should be the bigger person and leave and divorce. Well, I can't make that decision for you. All I can do as a coach is teach you the fundamentals of how you need to show up in the relationship and what you can do to give yourself, your relationship, your marriage, the best possible chance to get back to where it once was. He says, but I really care and I really love her. She does keep an open line of communication that I do take advantage of, and she also goes on dates with me. In the last one, we had sex. Well, that's definitely an improvement from, hey, I want you to move out and I want a divorce. He says, it was great. I love this woman and I'm a bit confused on this other guy thing. I told her he's there for backup, obviously, and she denies this. Of course she's going to deny it. But you and I know that that's what's really going on here. He says that he wants to visit her, but she has told him no. Well, that's a good sign. He says she does not open up a lot, mostly lets me talk, but she's the one who calls, asks me questions like, are you seeing someone? Have you met someone at the gym you like? Stuff like that. Well, the communication, that's not something you want to do over the phone. That's something that you want to do in person. Hang out, have fun, hook up. I say it over and over again. That's what you need to get back to. And obviously you're starting to get there, but this is more of an art than it really is a science. And so it's something that takes practice, because sometimes you're going to hit the nail on the head, and other times you're going to miss it a little bit, and so you're going to have some setbacks. Especially like for guys that are having problems, they may date a girl for a long period of time, but she just never gets to the point where she falls in love. And he says, I know it bothers her, and she won't do counseling till she decides if she wants to work this out. Yeah, that kind of makes it hard. That's why the best thing you can do, hang out, have fun, hook up. Let her come back to you, because at the end of the day, she's the one that kicked you out. She's the one that pushed you out. She's the one that said, I want you to move out. I want a divorce. And so the best thing you can do is work on yourself. Focus on your goals, your dreams. Get back to going to the gym, taking care of your body. Show that you love yourself by taking care of yourself, not because you're doing it for her, but because you're doing it for you. He says, I know you said, he says, I could use some advice. Is just being here and listening to her and taking her out enough? Yeah, because think about it. How did your relationship start in the first place? You liked her, she liked you, you made a date, you went out on a date, you both talked. Hopefully, I would assume she did probably more of the talking, and you were able to remain mysterious. And that's typically what happens. And obviously at some point, usually within the first 2 to 3 dates, most women sleep with a guy by the second or third date. So you start out casually going out once a week, hanging out, having fun, and at some point hooking up. And as you let the woman come to you, she starts calling and texting you and messaging you more and more. And the right thing to do is to assume that if she's reaching out to you, oh, she must want to see me. She wants me. Why? Well, because all women want me. That's the best place to come from. Focusing on breaking up or divorce or it's not going to work out, that's not going to help your situation. You should just look at it because she's the one that booted you out of her life. Let her come back to you. Because when you walk and you never look back and you move on with your life and you take care of yourself, but you leave the door open, because in this particular case, this guy loves her and he wants her back. And he admits that it was the way he showed up that drove her away in the first place, in essence, into the arms of another guy. So it's slowly hanging out, having fun, and hooking up. You don't need to talk about relationships. You don't need to talk about getting back together. Just have fun with her. Because when she gets to the point where she falls in love, and like what you're already starting to see is she's starting to back away a little bit from this other guy and kind of put him off a little bit because he wants to come visit her. And she's like, wait a minute, I'm not sure, And so more than likely, this other guy is starting to pursue. And, in your particular case, I think you said you'd been with this girl like 23 years. You have a much better chance of getting her back because you got a lot of time in with this girl. So she has a strong emotional bond and connection with you because when you've been with somebody for a couple of decades like that, that's not just something you just throw out like the trash or the morning newspaper when you're done reading it. And so if the other guy's chasing and pursuing her and you're just hanging back, letting her reach out to you, and when she reaches out to you, you assume it's kind of like the little button that pops up on the turkey when it's done at Thanksgiving time. It's kind of the same way with the phone call or the message. Oh, she must want to see me. Make a date to hang out, have fun, hook up in as few steps as possible. And it's just like, you got to imagine, just like with a quote that I share with you, it's as if everything that the whole 20-some plus years that you guys were together, it's irrelevant. Because the only thing that matters is what you're doing today, because that's where her emotions are and her level of feeling and her level of attraction for you is at that particular moment. And so it's not like a light switch. She's not going to fall in love with you and blow every other potential male replacement suitor that she has for you off. It's the kind of thing where you allow her to come to you, and as her interest and attraction level for you starts to go back up, she starts putting off these other guys and being flaky and being unsure with them, and she starts calling you and reaching out to you more and more. And so it might be you're starting out, you're seeing her maybe once every couple of weeks, and then it gets to once a week, and then it gets to twice a week, and then 3 times a week, and then 4 times a week, and then it's the point after a few months, depending on how much you do right versus how much you do wrong, when she gets to the point where she's completely gonzo and head over heels in love, she'll be like she was a giddy little 16-year-old girl, like when you first started dating. And it's beautiful to see. There's nothing more beautiful, I found, when you're dating a woman who's completely gonzo over you and she's in love with you. They just become more sexy. They become more attractive because they're so happy and they want to be with you. It's a gift. It's a gift in life. But like I said, it's not something you can rush and it's not something you could force. Because now what you're doing is you're allowing her to reach out to you. She's coming back to you at her pace as her level of attraction for you grows. He says, is just being there? He says, so do I tell her that I've asked for her to stop talking and texting him until we sort us out? But so he's asked her to stop talking to this other guy and she hasn't. And you really don't have a right because she broke up with you. You moved out. Your relationship was over in her mind. You weren't together. And so she's got other guys she's dating and she's asking you, assuming that you're probably dating other women, which that's a good thing. That shows that she's concerned that maybe in the back of her mind she's thinking that she may lose you to another girl. He says, I really don't want to divorce her, but now after almost 2 months of looking outside the box, if being with me is that much torture, I asked her why do we do these little trips and stuff. Again, you're complicating the process because you're focused on the relationship and what the label is that the two of you are. Let her do whatever the fuck she wants with whoever she wants. It's really none of your business. Hang out, have fun, hook up. Just keep focusing on that. Keep doing what you're doing, and don't worry about all this other shit. It's not important. When she gets to the point where she's ready to be committed to you, she'll bring it up. It'll be fucking obvious, and it'll be because she's all over you and she's blowing up your phone 2 or 3 times a day. So keep doing what you're doing. Work on the communication. You got to get her talking more, and you'll get there. I'll talk to you soon.